right? Uh, so in a previous class, we come across what is an emulator, how you are going to be create one emulator or AVD under virtual device, and how you are going to be create a simple application like hello world, simple text on the screen. And we tested how you are communicating between Eclipse and Android virtual device, and you are supposed to deploy our output on the emulator screen, and we tested with the support of a previous class. And we are moving to the next topic. It's a very simple, and by default the system will add one information in to the pictures. So already we come across all these things, right? Create a simple application and put a name inside application name and project name and so on. And we took all these default information, and once you submit, the system will give you like this. So here, this is a view what you are going to be obtained, and we can view the same by means of XML file. Now, these are the directory structures we come across in the beginning. And here the system will added one graphic default information in the form of a layout inside XML file. The XML file, either you may view in the form of graphical layout or XML layout or text view layout. In XML file, this is the information which is written by default for the hello world application, right? So what is this layout and what is this text view and all, we will see one by one. So this is a layout, how you are going to be fix the controls on the screen. The layout will give you the way of how you are orienting all these icons or all these controls on the screen. So by default, the system will maintain a relative layout. The name itself says it's a relative. So yesterday I just drag and drop. While dragging the text, it shows the outlines, the relative positions of left side and top side and right side and bottom side. So based on that, the controls are going to be fixed. Take a simple example. You are going to be putting a layout width is of same as a parent, and the height is of same as parent, match parent and match parent. So match parent in the sense how the controls are going to be fixed based on the parent information. We will discuss again later. We are having two notations, match parent and write wrap content. See here. The second thing is we are going to be discuss this. What is the text view and how we are going to be put all the contents or all the attributes inside the text view tag. This is what you are going to be learn right now. Am I audible?
Sir, yes, sir.
Right, right. Please concentrate. So we are having two notations. One is a match parent and another one is a wrap content. So whenever you are putting match parent for width and height of the layout, so every attribute is started with Android followed by the colon and mention the attribute name. If it is a layout, height, layout, width or layout and so on, whatever, everything is started with Android followed by the colon and so on. Right. So whenever you are representing match parent, the system or Android system is going to be fill as much space as possible on the screen. So it takes the parent information and it fills that particular display as much as possible in the screen. But coming to wrap content, so wrap in the sense it is going to be occupy how much space it exactly needed. For example, I want to design one text box. So how much space is required, that much is going to be occupied. So wrap content in that situation I can mention. Or else if I make the same as match parent, it occupies the entire screen. అది కూడా కొంచెం క్లియర్గా గుర్తుపెట్టుకున్నామా అండ్ రన్నింగ్ we will see all these things, right? So wrap here I am creating one text view and showing hello world on the screen, which is there inside string variable in the form of string, and the hello world is going to be appear on the screen. There I am mentioning wrap content in the form of width and wrap content in the form of height. So that particular hello world is going to be fixed based on its characters or its space in the form of height and width. And also added one more center horizontal. So where you are going to be put that particular message is, it is centrally horizontal and centrally vertical. In the middle, in the top, it is going to be fixed. And the context, so what context you are going to be used, that the context information is going to be added here. We will discuss this text view in detail in this particular topic. And this is a Java file. So again, we will see Java file. Next topic is text view control, the text view. So already we had an idea on HTML. In HTML, we can find one tag with the name of label. How many of you heard the word label? Label అనేది విన్నారా ఎప్పుడన్నా?
Yes,
So
sir.
we can find label. Label is a static information appear on the screen. We should not have any possibility to alter the things. But text box is not the case. Text box is the box where we can enter some text. I'll give a simple example. Username. Username is a static information which will be appear on the screen and followed by one text box. The text box is going to be accept a value. It is for input purpose, right? But mentioning username is a label. Text box is a control which is easier to enter a text. Yes or no? Like username, password, password, all these are the labels. Labels are a static information. These are the fixed thing on the screen. Such things, if you want to write or if you want to design, in this we can have a word, we can have a one tag with the name of text view. Text view is as same as a label in HTML, right? So whenever you are going to be design UI, we need to use this text view button or text view control. So, and also we are having like edit text for text box purpose. Whenever you want to enable one button, you can use button, check boxes, and whether you want to show the progress bar or whether you want to use the spinners to show drop down list and all. So all these are the controls which are going to be added for this particular UI, user interface, or the screen. UI in the sense as the screen where you are going to be visualize all these things, right? So first we are going to be work on this for text view. Capital T and capital V, it is a one control, one tag, HTML or XML tag interval which is used to set and display text on the screen. So this is meant for to show a static text on the screen. It is as same as a label in HTML documents. So usually we may have this information in two ways. You may maintain text view or what you can say label like a static text in two ways. One is by means of XML file, another one is by means of Java file. So we can show hello world like information in two ways. One is by means of XML file, and the second one is by means of Java file. That is, you can call it as activity file. So activity is a file where you are going to be write Java notations. This is file. This is a Java file where you are writing all the action code that comes under activity file, and the designing part always comes under XML file. So please try to understand these two things, and we'll move to the next one. So this is the scenario happens here. I'll take the generalized example and I'll proceed with the example. At any stage, if you have any problem, please see here. I'm taking a text view. I created a simple application text view example, and this is a directory structure which we can maintain. Inside src we can find activity main.java, right? The first one is XML file. So graphically it looks like this. So I want to do some alterations to the existing information. So how can do all these things? So I'm not going to be touch any information which is of relative mode. I just keep it as it is, and these are the properties added to this particular relative tag. That is XML schema, tools, layout width and layout height, how much of width and height. So it is, we are going to be fix the entire screen. That's why I'm making this one as a match parent, right? And we will discuss all those things, padding, left, right, and all. But focus on this text view button, text view control. So here I added certain simple information. The first one is layout width and layout height. The height and width of that particular text view what you are supposed to show on the screen is wrap content, means you are just occupying that much of space in horizontally in the form of width and in the form of height. The next one is gravity added one more tag here in the form of Android colon followed by the gravity. Please remember all the attributes మనం HTML రాసిండం button followed by you are putting all the attributes in the tag itself, right? So the properties you can maintain for this particular button or particular control all are enclosed within this particular tag itself, but every property is preceded with android colon and so on. And if you want to write in a single line, all you can write continuously or you may write line by line for understanding sake. The first one is the width and second one is the height. So I am going to be write certain information. Welcome to RECW. That is of type wrap content, means how much space it is required for width and height. That much of space is going to be fixed on the screen. And the next one is the gravity. So horizontally I can fix. So whenever you are typing the gravity in the sense the alignment where you are going to be fixed. So the system will give you certain options where you are going to be fit that particular thing. So I can say, for example, left, right, or center, or some other. I can mention appropriately. The thing is going to be fixed, but the control is influenced by this particular mode or relative layout or linear layout or grid layout. Based on that, these controls are going to be arranged. The next one is I am just adding a text information. Directly I am mentioning the value welcome to RECW in the form of a property or attribute in the form of attribute text. The property value is here. And even I can add some color. So I can mention the color name, or if you are good at mention RGB representation, red, green and blue in the form of hexadecimal value. And also we can mention the size by means of the value in the form of DP or PX values. So DP in the sense dot per inches, density per inch, or sometimes you may represent pixel PX format. So everything is fine for this. And the next one is the style, text style is the bold, or you can say mention italic and all. So appropriate information is going to be shown. This is a one way of putting a static text on the screen by means of text view XML tag or XML control. Okay, Nama. So see here, it looks like this. And you can get the same information, save the content, save all, and run the application, run and add application. Is my screen visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
About the screen and just watch all the actions what I am doing. And meantime try to practice at your home. So this is an emulator. Emulator is running. Yesterday I created with my name Mahesh underscore AVD. I attached the same here in the form of here Nexus 7. The same is going to be run and it shows the output on the screen. It takes a little bit time in order to deploy the same output on the emulator. So the file name is TextView EX and the information is welcome to RECW, the screen. So it is of type 50, that's why it is showing in a bigger format. Right? So if you make this one as a some number 20 or some other number, based on that the values are going to be get affected. For each and every thing we need to again run the application and see the emulator. So try to understand how the static text appear on the screen. We can add color, we can resize its size, even you can add bold and italic, and you can add font styles, different styles and all. Right? So all these things are possible. It is a static text, nothing more in this. Just you are showing instead of hello world, I just shown some other information. Welcome to RECW like this, right? And I'll just focus on some more controls which are there inside, and we will see one by one. See here, and and it's a very huge list, and you may Please go through all these attributes of TextView inside inside Google, and every control will have ID. Please remember, every control will have one ID of that particular control. See our Eclipse, the ID here. I didn't mention any ID for this, but try to habituate to write one ID of that one, right? So I can add ID of this Android colon ID. I can mention some ID name here, right? Say for example, button A, text button or text PIEW view, like this. So whatever the ID you want, you mention the ID. And next is auto link. It will automatically found and convert URLs and email addresses as clickable links, right? And you can all, for example, that's okay. We can add hint here. It uses to display the hint text. I'll just enable here, and I'll just paste here, and I can write some hint. For example, this is my hint. Right? Save. The ID తీసేయండి, ఇది మళ్ళీ చూద్దాం దీన్ని. It is giving some error. Save. Run the application and see the output again. సో ఇక్కడ మనం మౌస్ ప్లేస్ చేస్తేనే మనకి హింట్ చూపించాలి. అది ఇంకా లోడ్ అవుతుంది అన్నది. It's not working. Okay. And also like width and height, you can maintain width and height in the form of pixels and all. And you can add our hardcode text by means of text property, and you can maintain text color by means of text color. And the gravity is used to specify how to align the text by the views in X and Y axis, right? So that is the gravity will give you the alignment, and what is the maximum width and maximum minimum width and height and all. So we're having a plenty of information available in this. So wherever we require, and based on that we will use appropriate information, right? So I'll take one more example. So like that we can add more than one different what you can say text views. I can add one more text view here. So one text view is added. Like that I can add one more, right? Here save and run again. ఇది హింట్ రావాలి, మరి ఎందుకు వస్తలేదు అది. సరే, ఇక్కడ I added idea of text view 2 here. So this is a way we can add a text directly in the XML file itself. And one more thing, we can add the same information by means of program. So see how it is here. For example, if you want to add any information by means of activity file, by means of Java file, right? So here I need to use a Java file by means of main activity.java file. There inside I can find certain information like this. So whatever there inside that one, inside a relative layout, and followed by that I can use text view. This information I need to add. So this is as same as creating one instance for text view button, and I can use a set method for to write some information. Okay, Namma. I'll add this one. I'll just copy the same. So come to the Java file. Inside Java file, after set content view, you just copy and paste. And here I just rename this with another name. Welcome to Ravindra. So here it is showing some error. So you click on this and import text view option. Now the file is imported and we can see all the import files here. Text view is imported and all these related minimum files are imported by means of this particular application. And I am going to be retrieve this text view ID which is defined inside XML file by means of r.id.textview2. ఇక్కడ ఉంటుంది చూడమ్మా అది, don't confuse. So I define ID with the name of ID/textview2. So which is defined inside XML file. I can get the same information by means of r dot. Please remember here. So R is a file which is auto-generated file, r.java file. That file will have all the references. So whenever you are make use of any reference, we must preceded with, or you must start with r dot followed by the ID and what ID you are requesting. That ID is going to be referred. The ID name is going to be referred here. Means you are making a mapping between XML file of this particular text view 2 to Java file reference text view 2. Now whatever the ID your object you are created by means of this, that is going to be referred here. Okay, Namma. Now I need to add one more line here. Text with you new right. So run the application and see. So for each and every modification, save the content and compile, I mean run again as Android application. Run as Android application again. So like that, it comes again. So we need to maintain appropriate information and the alignments in order to fix all these contents, right? And I'll do one thing. I'll just drag this graphical layout. So relatively, I can make here. Now save again and run again. So this line shows that this is a relative layout and it is having a proper relation between the parent and the control. So where it is moving and where it is fixing and everything will be maintained. The things are going to be represented here, right? So my hint is not working. You can just so like that it looks like this. So this is a text which is added through Java code and this is the text which is added through XML file. Okay, Namam, but we need to maintain all the properties by means of XML file, and we can set the things, and we can set a name by means of set text is a method which is defined inside TextView class. TextView, first we need to create one instance, and we need to what you can say, refer that particular ID by means of find view by ID is a method, and we need to mention appropriate reference. So we need to construct one object for TV, I mean the object name, and we need to view that particular reference which is there, which is available inside XML file by means of a method find view by ID. So here you are mapping the Java file to the XML file by means of this particular reference. So how you can get this reference? So r.id dot textview2. This is the name given in XML file. Same, same name we need to mention here. Please mute. Someone is unmuted. So this is all about the text view information. We are having a plenty of properties over there in text view, but try to understand. So text view is a logical, it's a static information which is shown on the screen as same as a label in HTML file. In HTML, if you want to create any label which is statically appear on the screen, we use a label. Here we can use the same by means of text view. It's a one tag. The tag will have certain properties where you are going to be keep, and what is the size, what is the color, what is the font, and is there any alignment. Everything will be mentioned as a properties, right? So those things we can maintain by means of Android colon followed by the layout width, height, and margin from the bottom, whether you want to go for all caps and all. And so many different properties are available, like gravity will give you the hint where gravity is going to be shown appropriate in the center or somewhere else. And next one is the hint is going to be shown that information whenever you place the mouse pointer on that particular text, and the colors and all. So try to see one by one property based on. So these are two ways is possible. One is by means of XML and another one is by means of Java notation. So here we need to create one instance for that particular text view, and we need to set the text, what text you are supposed to show on the UI by means of a static information. Here we are using two methods. One is find view by ID, which is used to map our reference to this particular object. And the second method is tv.text, which is used to set the static text that will appear on the screen based on the properties you set it to the text view, which is available in XML file. These are two ways we can maintain the text view information. One is in the form of XML file, the second one in the form of Java file. Any doubt in this? Hello?
Yeah, sir.
And we will use all these notations directly either, or sometimes we need to create one instance and go for setting the values. Depends. And next, these usually define inside Java file. Please don't forget this one. Will be there inside Java file. And the dimensions already I said. You may represent the control, the sizes, width and all in the form of pixels or in the form of inches or in the form of EMMs or points or DIP or DPs. Device independent pixels or device pixels. So you please go through all these things. So sometimes you may represent the pixel. Pixel is the smallest individual point in a screen. So if you have a more pixel, definitely the quality will be more. Usual notation, right? So pixels are actual pixels on the screen. How many pixels are there in that? In horizontal and vertical in a grid fashion. So pixel is the smallest individual illuminating part, right? And you may also measure the screen by means of inches, or sometimes you may also measure by means of millimeters and so on. And points are of fixed dimensions of 1 by 72 of an inch. Sometimes you are using points for representing the control or the text height and text width and all. that is 1 by 72 part of an inch, and so on. These are the simple information. And in previous example, I represented in the form of DP. DP in the sense device pixels. Usually these are the physical density of the screen, and usually 160 dpi screen or 120 or 240 dpi. These are the based on the resolutions which you are going to be represent. If you're having high intensity, I mean more and more quality, then you go for we can have a very quality pixel or quality picture on the screen. It all depends on the screen resolution. That's why whenever you are going to be design any sort of information, the folder will have certain different folders. Already I said in the beginning, whether you want to keep any pictures or any other things. Here, there we can have drawable certain information. So if you are using very high density information, go for XHDPI, based on the resolution of your mobile, and MDPI and LDPI like this. So based on the resolution of your screen or your emulator, based on that, the picture is going to be deployed on the screen. If you are having high intensity pixel or what you can say more pixels, you can have a more quality and clarity. So that's why we need to maintain different pictures of different resolutions. HDPI already. ఇవన్నీ మళ్ళీ చూద్దాం whenever you are just showing some picture, at the time we need to copy appropriate information inside appropriate folders. So based on whenever you deploy that particular application on a mobile with low intensity, the low intensity picture will be shown. If it is a high intensity picture will be shown. So we need to maintain manually by all those information. So it's a very simple thing. Only thing we need to habituate to this tool, and everything the system will give you auto generated text and everything. We need to do certain modification wherever it is required. This is about dimensions, and we come across emulators. We created one virtual device, Android virtual device. So this is for testing and debugging purpose. So you are going to be test, our emulator is still running, where you are testing our application on the emulator, right? And also you can have certain debugging tools in this where you can debug all certain information. So usually this area is meant for to debug, right? Where you can find errors and all. And we can having one log cat which shows all the information where the error is exactly. The line number and everything will be shown here. If everything is fine, nothing will be there inside this. The logcat is a log file, log information where everything is going to be written in the form of log file, right? So try to understand this. So this is a console or where you can find errors even itself, right? So usually happens here in this emulator, right? So some emulators like BlueStacks for Android apps, and like AVDs also, AVDs and Genie motions are used for emulating purpose. But here we are using Eclipse along with ADT plugin for this. So you may have a different emulators and different versions, and we may use some other different mechanisms. But here in this syllabus, we are using Android plugins, Android ADT plugins along with Eclipse. We are creating one AVD and we are showing, we are deploying all the applications on that particular emulator. It is looks like this based on, right? And what are the limitations usually in emulators? So emulator is nothing but a model or a template. It doesn't more than that. So for example, you want to simulate a network. So at the time we are using network simulators like that. It is a one simulator where it behaves just like a physical device, original device like this. So what are the limitations there in this? So it doesn't have any memory or any CPU just like our mobile, and any physical limitations or any like keypad or anything else. So it doesn't have any memory basically, and there is no processing unit in this. It is only a model which will run. and which will take the output and show it on the screen. And even it doesn't have it's just a simulator. It just it shows our device how it looks like this, like a model or a picture appears on the screen. It doesn't have more than that. And whenever you want to send any SMS or whenever you want to receive any SMS, it is not possible by means of this. But we can simulate the sending SMS and receiving SMS to some extent. Even it is not possible to send to make a call or to receive a call. Why? Because these are only a model. And even no support for device attached headphones. So even though we are having headphones option and all, but we can't have that facility to add headphones and all. And we can have a camera video captures and all, but it is not function properly. It is not going to function properly. But we can have camera representation, front end and back end and all. You can see all these things, right? It looks like this. And even ఇక్కడ ఒక బటన్ ఉంటుందమ్మా. I'll show you. Properties, how to hide, right? ఇక్కడ దీన్ని క్లిక్ చేసినప్పుడు ఏమవుతుంది, it shows all the apps. So these are the apps available in this, but we required somehow bigger RAM, I mean huge RAM, in order to visualize all these things. So this application is still running. You just drag and drop, it moves from the memory. And this is the home button. Sorry, please remember this. And even though we can have a camera, but it is not to that much extent to utilize the camera what you are using. And even we don't have USB ports or Bluetooth, etc., etc. Why? Because it is only a structure which is available. It's a model which is available, and it is meant for to simulate what exactly the physical device will do, right? So not more than that. So these are the limitations of Android emulator. So this is a somehow important question. Sometimes we had a question in previous question papers. Write about what is define an emulator and write and explain what are the limitations of Android emulator. Any doubt in this? So emulator in the sense it's a model. It is meant for to testing and debugging purpose. So debugging is done usually and it's a different scenario. I'll show you. The best example is logcat. So all the errors are going to be generated here. For example, think that if something is there here, I forgot to mention dot here, right? I save the content. I go for running the application. It shows all the errors, right? It gives the relevant information where exactly the error is, right? Line number and everything will be shows. Okay, Nama. So it shows some relevant information and we need to update all those and go for saving again the content. And come back again. So we can have some functions in for a emulator. If you want to move back, use escape button. If you want to call F3, if you want to end F4. So these are the buttons. Try to remember, and whenever you are working with emulator, If you want to move back to the back screen, we can use escape, or we can find a button here. No problem. We can move, and even you can find the camera and all. And also the same functionality done by means of escape, right? You check once, right? And volume up, volume down for this keypad plus control 5 or control F6. Switch orientation, whether you want to this into different scenario, right? uh, so the orientation, it turns into horizontal fashion. అది కొంచెం టైం పడుతుందమ్మా మళ్ళీ అన్ని సెట్ కావడానికి అవి. It takes a little bit time. Amma, are you seeing all these actions?
Yes, sir.
It looks like this. So either we're having two options for orientation. Keypad లో 7 అన్న ప్రెస్ చేయండి, కంట్రోల్ F11 అన్న ప్రెస్ చేయండి, right? So again I press F7, it turns into different fashion, right? So ఇవన్నీ ఒకసారి చూడండి, తర్వాత మళ్ళీ విజువలైజ్ చేద్దాం అవి. And you can also interact with an emulator from within the DDMS tool. It's a debug monitor service tool. We can also interact with. So usually the emulator, the interaction done either by means of input, which is coming from application, or sometimes any errors occur, we may interact with that particular thing by means of DDMS tool. And this particular Eclipse IDE will have three perspectives. One is Java perspective, how you are going to be see all the contents, either by means of Java or by means of debug or by means of DDMS perspective. So what exactly these three? This is a simple notations. It is a default perspective in Eclipse. So whenever you just open, we can find XML file and Java file as well. Inside Java, we can go for and open all the information, and we can update and all. That comes under Java perspective. Coming to debug perspective, there we can have certain options, certain breakpoints you can set, and we can run the application up to that breakpoint and see whether it is working fine or not. And after that, how you are going to be move line by line or based on all these breakpoints and step through code, and everything will be defined inside logging information, logcat information and all. So all these debug perspective will be maintained like this. So we can maintain inside logcat where you can find all these things. మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి చూద్దాం దీని logcat గురించి. So this way you can have all the information will be available in logcat. You click on that, it opens the appropriate information. If something is goes wrong, logical errors and all will be maintained here. And next one is the DDMS. The next one is, and we'll go through this DDMS separately, which enables to monitor and manipulate emulator and device status. So the name itself says it's a Dalvik. In the beginning, we come across the word Dalvik. Instead of JVM, we use DVM, Dalvik Virtual Machine, right? So Dalvik Debug Monitor Service, the name itself, it's a very, very important one. So the Dalvik will convert or will receive certain information and convert into text format, DEX format. First lo chadukunnamo మనం, right? So all the bytecodes are going to be listened by this DVM and converts into DEX format, .dxe format, which will be run by the hardware components, right? And also it simulates like phone calls, SMSs, and GPS coordinates and all. So such things will be done with the support of this DDMS. So with this DDMS perspective, we can go for monitoring and manipulating emulator devices status, and also to capture certain screen pictures, and also to simulate incoming phone calls, and also SMS sendings, etc., like GPS coordinates and all. So all these things usually done by means of DDMS. My time అయిపోయిందా? Okay, I'll end the session to this, and we will go through this again later, DDMS and all, and Gradle, and these are the simple information required. So in this particular session, I just mentioned what is exactly the text view, how you are going to be shown some label like text on the screen, usually done in two ways. One is by means of text view, one what you can say XML tag, or you may also enable some text by means of Java code. These are two ways it is possible here, right? So try to understand these two and try to represent based on the situation. And TextView will have certain properties, very huge properties are available. All these are the attributes of related to this TextView. What is the height, where it is going to be fixed and all. So all these properties are going to be work are influenced by means of this relative layout. So whether the control is based on relative layout. So in the previous case, I just dragged the information up to here. Means this control is having a link to this parent. So how it is going to be visualized here? It shows like this. So whenever I drag, it shows where the left is and where the margin top is, where the right off. So to right off in the sense, so it is moving towards the right and it is going to be referred to this. So it is referring to the previous control. The what is the previous control here? Text view 2. No, this is the first control. So it is moving towards right off to the previous control, the parent control of text view. So this is the first control. This is the second control. So we are moving, we are just dragged and the system is going to be return this code automatically, right? So how much from left and how much from top and to right of which control. So that is visualized in the form of a green line here. కనబడుతుందమ్మా ఇది సో దానికి దీన్ని రిలేటివ్ లేఅవుట్
Yes,
అంటాం.
sir.
So here it is maintaining a relation between the controls. So what is the previous control? What is the next control? So it is right to the previous of control or left to the previous control or to the parent screen parent or to the top right or top left or bottom right, bottom left based on it is maintaining all the relations. That's why you can call it as a relative layout. And we will see more options inside layouts again. So try to understand what is the relative layout and how the controls are going to be maintain the relation up to now. And once we enter into the layouts, then we will discuss again more things. And what is the text view only up to now? So how we are going to be add the properties, how we are going to be maintain IDs and all, and how we are going to be write some text, a plain text here itself, and also the same thing done by means of Java notation. This is for Java notation. This text view 2 is going to be referred by find view by ID method, and which is referring directly from Java notation to the XML notation. And here whatever the text view which is going to be appear on the screen, the text is going to be setted by means of Java file. These are two lines. There's a simple information and we added a very few lines of code. Only thing we need to understand what exactly happening here. Okay, Nama? Any doubts so far?
Clear, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
But it requires more practice, Amma. Without practice, it's very difficult for us to understand. So అన్ని అర్థమయ్యేలాగానే ఉంటాయి, but it's very difficult for us. So we need to practice. Definitely, very soon you are coming to college, and once you enter into the college, I'll show you, or else you please download and install. If you are what you can say